man. Because he grew up, like the brother said, man, he was already dedicated unto the Lord, man. He was around the temple at Shiloh, man, learning the ways of the Lord, man. And he got to anoint the first kings over Israel. That's right. Right?
It's Proverbs 22 and 6. Proverbs 22 and 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
That's what. Nah, you're supposed to train up a child in the way he should go. The way you train them is through these scriptures, man. That's another reason why the Lord said you're supposed to seek him while you're young, man. Because while you're in your youth, just like the brother said, and just like Kamar said, you sacrifice yourself to him, man. You threw off all that other shit aside to go through him so he could train you up right, man. It was the spirit that he woke any of us up at that young age, man. Because when you're young, you're not just young, you hard-headed as fuck, man. Can't shit change your mindset, man.
The scriptures say foolishness is bound in the heart of a child.
Yeah, you know. Hey, scriptures also tell you when I was young, I thought as a child, man. That was when we was young in the world. The Lord woke us up and damn man, it kicked us in the ass, man.
This 2 Chronicles chapter 15, verse 13. That whosoever will not seek the Lord power of Israel should be put to death, whether small or great, whether man or woman. So you're supposed to be in this. You're supposed to be in the truth when you're young, man. And really, you under the covenant when you turn 12. A woman can have a baby as soon as she young. She have her first that's the power.
Y'all was shot. He ran away from his parents when he was 12 years old to go do the work.
Yeah.
You know,
you're supposed to be in this when you're young, man.
And he told his mom, cause they went looking for him. He like, Mama, you already know what time. You know where I was. You know what time. You don't play with me, man.
that's the ideal way to be. Now, we ain't come in with good soil, but that's the ideal way to be. The Lord said, small or great, if you don't seek the Lord, He's going to put you to death. That's right. It's in the scriptures.
Can I say this? You see how we brought up the example of Samuel, and the scriptures say Samuel judged Israel for 40 years. Hey, you look at these great musicians, what age they say, I started when I was 3, when they was young. They practiced since they was young. That's why the Lord said you're supposed to seek him when you was young, man. So when that time hit, and you at that age where you really gotta be the one to drop that hammer and be that judge, man, you a pro at it, man. No pictures.
No.
You take pictures of the sign.
Yeah. And that's why Baruch said, man, in the book of Baruch, since we ain't come in at the age of 12 or whatever, now that we found the Lord, we gotta seek him 10 times more, man.
That's right.
That's what everybody need to be.
Back up. Don't even pay attention.
Why does it say the wisest man out of all three of those men that talked to Job was the youngest one, man. The scriptures tell you, despise no man in his youth, man. The Lord deal with men at their young. He start dealing with them at a young age, man, for a reason, man. So just like I told Lloyd earlier, that young age is that sponge period, so he can soak up his knowledge, his word, his understanding, so he can stick with you, man.
That's how he confound the wise too. Yep. Like the brother Lord always bring out in Corinthians, man. He used the foolish things to confound the wise, man. What more than a little kid trying to tell you about the truth, man? And you a fucking adult. You like, what this little nigga got to tell me, man? Right.
Yeah, man. She's weirdo, man. Fucking demon.
You got more on that?
No,
That was it. Bring out what you got.
This is Lamentations 3:27. It says, "It is good for a man that he bear the yoke in his youth."
Okay.
So it's good for a man to bear the yoke of Yahweh Shema Shah in his youth, man. Like the brother was going into, man. Because when you get older, like the apostles, man, it's rooted inside of you, man. And you can edify the flock that's coming in, your younger brothers too, man. And they'll build them up.
That also show you your faith in the Lord, man.
Right.
If you're able to, forget partying and bullshitting, yeah, I'm not gonna smoke weed, I ain't gonna party, I'm gonna stick to the Lord. That show a lot of faith, man. Your homeboys coming to you, yo, we out. Nah, man, I'm chilling, man, I'm straight. Looking at you like you a bozo, a clown, a fool, that show your faith in the Lord, man. And the Lord take pleasure in that, man.
And we're not robots. We go out and do our thing, but put time for the Lord. It's a balance, man.
That's right.
You got time to do all of that, and you can't get into your scriptures none. Because we go to bars, we drink, and all of that. We do our thing. We ain't robots. We Jake, man. We Israelites, man. We the salt of the earth, man. We lively stones, you know. But you gotta have time for the Lord, man. Because if you don't, you're gonna die, man. The Lord, this book is about prophecies. If you don't know what's about to happen to America, you're gonna be stuck out with all these other people, man.
Right.
America about to be destroyed. Ain't gonna be no food in the stores. All that's in the scriptures, man. You gotta seek the scriptures. That's what's gonna keep you safe.
Right. And look, the Lord even put it in here. Ecclesiastes what? 12 much
Yep.
study make weariness of the heart. So you ain't got to be there reading scriptures for 12, 13 hours. No, sometimes take an hour. Read you an hour, watch about an hour video. That's it, man. Because this will make you weary, man, and eventually make you throw up, man.
If you do it too much.
If you do it too much. So they can't use that excuse, oh, I got to get in there and be reading all. No. Just get a Lord some time, man. Out your day, man.
Diligence.
Right.
Live by it. Stop eating pork. Do
Stop-
that.
Stop smoking weed.
Stop smoking weed.
That's right. Easy things, just like the breast. Those are easy things to do, bro. That's real easy, dog. That's why the scriptures say it's not grievous to seek the Lord, man. Because it's simple things. All those things, yo, start smoking weed. Hey, take it from somebody who used to smoke down there a pound a week, man. I put that shit down for the Lord. It was the Lord that made me put it down, man.
You got a question? Y'all on the sign, right? I'm sure y'all are.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
What's your nationality? I'm a Christian. Born again Christian. African American. Did you know that? Did you know you was English?
Yeah.
You know, with me, I read the word, I study the word, but I didn't get to the deep of it, like to, the tribe, all that. I didn't get that.
I'm going to take a picture of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Jeremiah 17.
Yeah, because basically that's what this is. This is our heritage book. This is only for these people on this side. That's what people don't understand. This ain't for so-called white people, Chinese, Japanese. This is for Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. This is our history book. All them, the renowned men in there, Moses was a Levite, which would be a Haitian today. Our Lord and Savior, who we're ignorant called Jesus Christ, he was a Judite. You know what I'm saying? That's what we connecting the dots. You know?
This is Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. Yeah, so the Lord took us away from our heritage. Therefore, we call ourselves African Americans and Haitians. But really, we are Judites from the tribe of Levi or Benjamin or Simeon. We Israelites, man. We're not African American. And we serve our enemies in the land that we know it's not. We over here serving our enemies in America. We serve them in Jamaica and Haiti, and even the Latinos, because they're Israelites also. They just came over here before we did. But they served the so-called white man. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. We kindled a fire in the Most High. And the word and forever means for a long time, man. We've been in subjection to our enemies for a long time. But right now, the Lord is waking us up to let us know, oh, I'm not a damn Haitian, something that the so-called white man gave me, or African American. When you think about it, that don't even make sense. African comes from what? What's his name? Scipio Africanus? In America comes from Amerigo Vespucci. You name yourself off of so-called white people who are Edomites according to the Bible, when the Lord hates them. And it shows in what they do, what so-called white people do. They do everything against the scriptures, you know? But the Lord's waking us up, and the Lord is about this nation, forget everybody else. You got that Deuteronomy?
This is
You take a picture of the sign. Yeah, not us.
Well, Deuteronomy 28 talk about the curses, which proves that all these people on the sign, they the people of the Lord.
That's right.
So this is Deuteronomy 7:6. It says, "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth."
Right. Like the brother was saying, man, this book, this Bible is really our history, but this is our book, man. The Lord really cares about our people, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. That's why he said we are above all people upon the face of the earth, man. We're his true children, man. We his true people, man. We gotta come back to who we are and keep his law, statutes, commandments to the best of our ability, and believe in his son. Believe in his son, who the world calls Jesus Christ, man. He died for the sins of this nation here, right here. And his name is truly Yahweh Shai, man. We gotta believe on the name of his son, and we gotta call upon him. And we got to keep his commandments so that we could be delivered, man, and so that we could be set up above all our enemies.
And coming out of Egypt, these people right here, these are the people that came out of Egypt. That's it. Nobody else. Those were the people being enslaved by the Egyptians. Yeah. And that's who the Lord made his covenant with, the Israelites, right? So these are these people today. We just, like we say, we just deciphering, taking these names that our so-called slave master gave us, and through the spirit and the understanding of the scriptures, coming to the understanding these who these people are today, plain and simple.
So, what about when the Bible says, Jesus died for the Gentiles? Who are the Gentiles?
The Gentiles in the New Testament are actually Israelites, because when you read in the Old Testament, in the Old Testament, Jeremiah, Isaiah, all those various prophets, and even Moses. Moses used to always talk about how the Lord's children, his people, were disobedient, and then when they were disobedient, they would worship other gods. And the Most High would send them into captivity. And then in the midst of their captivity, they would take up upon the ways of the heathen. And they would become like unto the heathen, and that's why they were called Gentiles in the New Testament. You read that in Romans chapter 9 and Hosea chapter 1.
Bring it out.
Now we're going to bring it out, of course.
I got a quick
I can say something? Say something?
No, go ahead.
And as Israelites, as Jake, to be honest, we like fuck it. Be real, we like fuck it. We go in captivity. First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna fuck something. 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be a heathen woman, and after the course of time, that child gonna lose his nationality, man. But it's still, by bloodline, it's still an Israelite.
You ever heard like the Hellenistic era, which means the Greeks took over the whole world and everybody went to the Greek ways. They're accustomed to the Greek ways. And you had Israelites who have been slaves, who've been brought to all these different lands, and they didn't even remember their heritage no more. And I just read in Jeremiah 17:4, he said he would take away thy heritage. That would make you a Gentile. We were Gentiles because we were calling ourselves Haitians and African Americans. But really, we Israelites. The word Gentile is a word in the scriptures that it has 2 meanings. Sometimes it actually means the other nations, but to us, when you get into this truth and the Spirit is dealing with you, you understand that sometimes that word means Israelite foreigners.
Right. Let me make it plain. Like I was saying, in Egypt, these people came out of Egypt. The Lord made his covenant with these people. Nobody else. The Lord doesn't change. So when you read Gentiles in the New Testament, you got to remember the Lord didn't change. His testimony was to them same people. So that would mean some of those Gentiles are Israelite foreigners. That's all it means.
Yeah.
Bring it out.
It's Hosea chapter 8, verse 8. Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure.
Come, man. Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles, man. Because the Lord scattered his people among the other nations. And like I told you before, they took upon those customs. Okay, they took upon the languages, the customs, the ways of the heathen, and over a process of time, they began to be called Gentiles themselves, man. Okay?
It's Isaiah 11, and I'm going to start at 10. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek.
Right, and that's talking about who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. The root of Jesse. Okay, go ahead.
And his rest shall be glorious. Verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people.
Right, the Lord shall return again to gather the remnant of his people again. All right, it doesn't say anything about the other nations that are not Israelites. It says his people. Okay, so now you got with that in mind, going precept upon precept, like the scriptures say in Isaiah. That right there should spark the light bulb in your head, so to speak, to know that those Gentiles were actually the Lord's people, the remnant of his people.
back that up.
Con, go ahead.
It says, recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea.
That's right, man, because the Lord's people, the Israelites, were scattered amongst all those nations, and they were calling themselves after those nations as well. That's why when you go to Acts chapter 2, it says during the day of Pentecost, I believe, Jews out of all nations under heaven. But they were called Parthians, Egyptians, Medes, Greeks, Romans, strangers, etc., etc. Ephesians.
Okay, got a little more. Okay. Verse 12. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel.
Kind of outcast of Israel, man, because the Lord told us that if we told our people, our ancestors, if we committed the abominations that He told us not to commit, that the land would vomit us out. So that's why that's why it says the outcast of Israel, because the Lord cast us out of our land. Go ahead.
And gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
Khan gathered the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth, man, and that goes into the Israelite foreigners, like the brother said, which are called Gentiles in the New Testament. Okay, go ahead.
Ephesians 2:11. Wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision, in the flesh made by hand.
That's right, man. It says that ye being in times past Gentiles who are called uncircumcision by that which is called circumcision made by flesh and hands. Because at the time you had the Israelite foreigners who were being called Greeks, Romans. They didn't know who they were, okay, and they were being called basically because they weren't being called Israelites. They were therefore being called Gentiles. They weren't of the circumcision, the Jews who were actually keeping the law, statute, commandments in Palestine. Okay, so therefore they were called the uncircumcision. All right, but coming into the faith and coming into the knowledge of Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, they began to come back into their heritage again. Okay, as sons and daughters of the Lord. Go ahead.
12. That at that time ye were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope, without God in the world.
Right, man. So they were strangers. They were aliens. They didn't know who they were. Okay, but the Lord came and they had faith in Him, and therefore they could inherit the promises. Because at the time, the Jews that were in Palestine, the Jews of the circumcision, they knew that they had their fellow brethren who were called Gentiles that were scattered across the world. Okay, but they didn't accept the fact or believe that these other Gentile Israelites could be partakers of the same promises and covenants as them. They thought that the Lord had forsaken them. Okay, but the Lord has sent down His Son Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus Christ, so that that they as well could inherit the promises through faith. Okay, so that they could be reconciled. Not only the Israelite foreigners, but the Jews of the circumcision as well. It was
so basically, it's like with the laws of in Deuteronomy, the ceremonial laws, Mosaic laws, like basically, like we still supposed to go by that.
What do you mean by
like by eating pork and we can't eat pork, we can't eat shrimp.
you're not supposed to eat pork.
Can't do it. It's in a prophecy now. Who the world calls Jesus, He's prophesied in the Old Testament, right? And the Old Testament also prophesies when He comes the second time, all those who eat swine's flesh shall be consumed in the fire. So He's...
Nah, that's Isaiah 66.
Isaiah 66.
We got you, man.
And look, the Lord,
I want to hear.
The laws are to do good for us, because you look at it scientifically, pork is one of the worst meats you can eat. Beef, it takes about 4 hours to digest. Pork, like 6 or 7 hours. And it causes erectile dysfunction. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, let him bring out the precept. Nah, yeah.
It's Isaiah chapter 66, verse 15. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with His chariots like a whirlwind, to render His anger with fury and His rebuke with flames of fire. He's going to do that by the nukes and when He come with His chariots. So the first time He came as a man to reconcile, like we're saying, the Gentiles, to die for the sins of Israel. This time He's coming back with His anger, because the Lord He's a man of war. It says that in the scriptures. And the world did Him wrong. So He's about to come back and set things right. This is verse 16. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh. And the slain of the Lord shall be many. And that's why we come out here on these streets and exhort people, well, these people on the sign to come back to the Lord. All the heathens, they are as a drop as a bucket to the Lord. But we exhort our people to come back to the Lord. Only 1/3 of them are. But verse 17, they that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst.
Right. So we just read 2 verses above. We read how the Lord was going to come back to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire, man. How he's going to come back and kill a lot of people. Now it goes into the details of those that he's going to come back and burn alive, basically.
Yep.
So go ahead. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, idolatry. Go ahead.
Right, because
Go
that go
ahead.
back to the churches, that worship. That's how they used to worship back then in the gardens and the sanctuaries.
Yeah.
Like in the modern day, them churches.
Now they do it on Sundays.
Right.
Right. Go ahead.
You got 10 of them on one street.
Right.
The Lord ain't dealing with that.
Go ahead.
So they that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh
Eating swine's flesh
and the abomination,
and the abomination.
which means shrimp and all of that,
all of that.
and the mouse,
You want to eat raccoon and rabbit?
which they do in the country. They eat rabbit and possum in the country.
Yeah.
We don't do it down here in Miami, but
Oh, yeah, they do.
they do.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You know, these outcasts of Georgia and
Yeah,
Mississippi.
Georgia, Mississippi and stuff down here in Miami. But in the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, says the Lord.
Oh, so you like barbecue pork ribs? Then the Lord gonna come back and barbecue you.
Yeah.